Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into something absolutely fascinating today, a timeless architectural and honestly, deeply spiritual project, the building of the Biblical Tabernacle. Whether you've studied this 100 times or you're just looking for a totally fresh perspective, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to be unpacking some profound insights from Exodus chapter 36. And listen, this isn't just some dusty history lesson, okay? It's literally a psychological deep dive into human motivation, divine joy, and the sheer beauty of voluntary dedication. Let's start by looking at a massive literary mystery.
So you might be wondering, why did God repeat the exact same instructions for the tabernacle? It's the ultimate mystery that hooks pretty much anyone who studies this text closely. I mean, if you read Exodus 26, you get all the blueprints. But then you turn over to Exodus 36, and it reads almost identically. It's kind of like the author just hit copy-paste on this massive block of text. For a book where literally every single word is usually so carefully weighed, this huge repetition seems, well, totally out of place. Why take up so much precious space to tell us what we already know?
Well, let's dive into section 1, Repeated Words, God's Joy, and see how we can find the heart of God in all this repetition. You see, this repeated text isn't some ancient clerical error, and it's definitely not just dry history. Think about it like a really proud parent. You know, when a parent gives instructions to their kids and those kids actually follow them perfectly, step by step, the parent doesn't just nod and move on. No way, they are thrilled. They want to recount every single detail of what their child did right to anyone who will listen. The source text explains that God's repetition here works exactly the same way. It really highlights his immense joy. He isn't just checking off a building permit, he's absolutely beaming with pride, joyfully recounting how his people took his exact words and brought them to life through their obedience. Which brings us to section 2, True Meaning, Willing Heart. Let's unpack this fascinating act of lifting up. Okay, so what actually caused this massive wave of joy? It all boils down to what the original language defines as a willing heart. Having a willing heart doesn't just mean passively nodding along. It literally translates to an active, voluntary lifting up of one's heart to God. This isn't about God aggressively grabbing someone's arm and dragging them into service. Not at all. It's the individual, filled with a voluntary spirit, consciously lifting their own heart and their own resources. It's an entirely proactive, unforced movement. Because let's be real, there is a huge difference between doing something because you feel like you have to and doing it because you genuinely want to. Forced religious duty, begrudgingly checking off boxes out of guilt or some sense of strict obligation, that doesn't create the kind of joy we were just talking about. God is deeply, deeply moved by joyful, voluntary dedication. It's that exact moment when God's calling meets our joyful response that true collaboration really begins.
Now let's look at section 3, Joyful Offerings Every Morning, and explore this continuous rhythm of grace.
The way they actually executed this willing heart is just so cool. This wasn't some one-and-done telethon or a single weekend fundraiser. Look at how it builds. On day 1, offerings are brought. By day 2, they're returning with even more. By day 3, it becomes this continuous cycle. People weren't just taking turns like, okay, I'll give on Monday, you go on Tuesday. It was a daily rhythm. People were literally waking up, feeling that willing heart, and bringing what they had, day after day after day. Actually, the text specifically zeroes in on the phrase every morning. And that phrase is absolutely crucial because it proves the sustained, voluntary nature of their giving. It wasn't just a fleeting emotional high that totally faded after 24 hours. Every single morning, the dawn brought a fresh wave of people happily carrying their materials to the builders. This continuous daily rhythm is exactly what it looks like to live out a joyful response. Moving right along to section 4, Overflowing Grace, Wisdom to Stop. This is the unexpected climax of the whole story. So just picture this scene. The highly skilled craftsmen, Bezalel and Aholiab, are hard at work. The materials are just pouring in every morning, and suddenly they have to put their tools down. They actually leave the worksite, march over to Moses, and essentially complain. But their complaint is totally unique. The people are being too generous. The text highlights this incredible moment where the sheer volume of these willing hearts literally overwhelms the builders. They have more than enough to complete all the work God commanded. Which leads to this absolute bombshell of an order from Moses: no man or woman is to make anything else as an offering for the sanctuary. I mean, really think about that for a second. When was the last time a leader, a charity, or any organization forcefully commanded people to stop donating? It almost never happens. But their generosity was so overwhelming, so abundant, that it literally had to be officially shut down by executive order. The crucial point we need to catch here is that true wisdom is recognizing when God places a period on our work. The source material beautifully explains that grace isn't just about endless giving or endless exhausting working. There's a profound spiritual wisdom in recognizing God's stopping point. When a season is complete or a task is genuinely finished, God places a period at the end of the sentence. And we need the discernment to step back and realize, wow, the work is beautifully, fully complete.
All right, Section 5, every dedication, big or small. Let's see why all pieces are essential.
If we look at the actual materials streaming into the camp every morning, we see a pretty fascinating contrast. On one side, you have these incredibly extravagant gifts, right? Gold, precious jewels, vibrant blue yarn. But on the other side, you have very ordinary, almost mundane items. Rough goat hair, plain acacia wood, standard leather. The text makes a critical observation here. You simply cannot build a functional sanctuary on gold alone. If you only have sparkling jewels, well, you have no tent to actually cover you.
Those unseen, totally ordinary tasks and materials, they are just as crucial as the prominent, flashy ones. The text reassures us that there is no hierarchy in God's eyes. Whether your dedication feels like a dazzling jewel for everyone to see, or it feels more like ordinary goat hair that just quietly holds the roof together in the background, every single piece is absolutely essential. Every willing heart matters equally.
Finally, Section 6. We are the holy sanctuary. Let's talk about the modern application of all this.
Because, this ancient blueprint isn't just a history lesson about a tent built thousands of years ago. It's a progression. Step 1, God calls and equips the willing heart exactly as we've seen with the ancient Israelites. Next, that physical sanctuary is beautifully completed with this overflowing grace. But then we arrive at a truly profound realization highlighted by our source text. Today, we become God's living sanctuary. The ultimate dwelling place isn't made of gold and goat hair anymore, it is built right within us.
And just like God provided exactly what those master craftsmen needed to build the physical tent, He continuously provides for us as His living sanctuary today. He provides health and vitality, financial resources, supportive coworkers and relationships, wisdom, intelligence, and a specific spiritual calling tailored just for you. God didn't just hand the ancients the materials they needed and say, "Good luck." He supplies us with absolutely everything necessary to fulfill our calling today, too.
The source material makes this direct, powerful connection to you and me. You are equipped to be the holy sanctuary where God dwells today. You aren't lacking the materials you need. If you have that willing heart, that active, joyful lifting up of yourself, God is absolutely going to supply the grace, the tools, and the wisdom to build something beautiful in and through your life.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a powerful, lingering question to chew on. What will you bring when you come before the Lord today? Will it be a forced duty or a willing heart? Will it be a one-time event or a joyful rhythm every single morning? Remember, whether your offering feels like shiny gold or humble goat hair, it is essential. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep lifting up that willing heart, and I'll catch you next time.